the ultimate secret you need to know, healing from a lifetime of emotional or narcissistic abuse. I think this is an incredibly important video, well, in my opinion. This is what I've come across, and I believe that understanding of this and the willpower to put it into action can have significant beneficial effects on people that have dealt with these types of situations. And the thing is that it's not well known in society, and I think it's phenomenal. So anyway, let me start with this. So in the research I've done, because I couldn't work out why there were a lot of other things in my life that just didn't seem to be working well. And through a lot of the reading and different subjects that are related to this subject and psychology, I've come to the realization that there is actually a control panel in the brain. And I'm going to give the analogy of, like, your sprinkler system has, if you have a sprinkler system in your yard, it has this control panel, or circuit board, whatever you would like to call it. Well, I believe that the brain has a similar control panel, and what actually happens is when the child's needs are not met in early childhood to a certain degree, that actually trips the circuit board, and it puts, like on your sprinkler system, you have like the default program that most people stick to, and then you have all these other programs. Some are so obscure that you just wonder how anyone could ever use them. But what actually happens, because of the survival mechanism in the baby, because by instinct and through generations and generations, the babies that did not impress the parents, if the parent wasn't good, those babies died. So it is only the genes of the babies who actually changed their personality and everything in order to survive that actually lived to carry on the genes. So it instinctually happens within us that if we're being neglected, or we're not getting enough of the input from the caregivers, that whatever we are doing is acceptable to them, it suddenly switches from the default normal program that baby was born with to an alternative program in order to ensure survival of that child. So the child then switches to trying to impress the parent and put the parents or the caregivers first, because the child knows that in order to survive, he has to make the caregivers happy so that they will look after him, because he is defenseless. The problem is that so with a certain no parent is perfect. It's a good enough mother, good enough father, but in certain situations where the child's needs have not been met, this switches to a default program, and this program actually continues right through the child's life after that, unless that child, as they grow older, realize that there's a problem and actually physically change it. That is the pattern, that's the blueprint that the brain will use going forward, instead of the normal, natural program. And you know what's even more bizarre is that for the life of you, you cannot see it. And nobody's telling you it. Nobody's telling you, hey, you know what, this is not the, well, maybe they're saying in certain situations you're not acting properly, but they're not telling you, hey, you know what, this is what's happened, and this is why, and you shouldn't be this is not how you should be interacting. So, I mean, and a lot of the messages that are brought in society are about looking after others, and that is seen as beneficial. So that just reinforces this alternative, obscure program. So, I mean, it's like having your sprinkler system on some weird program that in normal situations no one would really ever use. I mean, it would be that rare occasion when a whole lot of other things would cause that to be the right way to act. And that's the same with the child. You know, when they're a baby, they have to put others first before themselves, because just through instinct and nature has told them that they have the best chance of surviving if they do that. So here these individuals are now going forward. So they've come from this family. Sometimes it's not sexually abusive. Often when it's sort of a narcissistic family, it's very difficult to detect these things, because often with narcissists, they're very smart. They're not the type that shows big physical problems. So the children that are brought up in this situation, they don't understand what's going on. They just know that their life's a mess and they feel unhappy. And so what I've actually put together 2 lists. One is of, and I've gone on my own alternative program, and then what I think the normal program should be. And I've put together 2 quite long lists. I'm going to put them below that you can read through. The one is what the normal program would be for a normal individual, and what that child would have had before it was switched, because the child went into survival mode in that situation. And then below that, you're going to see the alternative program, which is like the program that I was running in my life up until reasonably recently. And I mean, it does take a while to change after that. It's like a trip switch, because it's been on for so long that when you pick up these, because when you know what you're looking for, you can pick them up. But you'll notice that you'll revert back to that other program, and especially if you're going through a stressful situation or whatever, and then it's like the trip switch. You've got to keep pushing it up, and eventually it starts to stick and stay up, and it stays up for longer and longer, and you will find that your life will start turning around. That it's almost like you are attracting more positive things in your life, and you understand what's going on in your own head more, so your life will start to come right, and you can actually start living the life that you were meant to live. So I'm just going to briefly go through some of these 2 blueprints, the normal and the alternative programs, and how they might differ. But as I say, I'm going to put the extensive lists below this video. So please, take a look at those, because I believe that is very important. And I mean, yours might be slightly different, but I think you will instinctually know, just from getting an idea of what I put together, what your one should be. So in the normal program, the person should be putting themselves first. It should be what they feel and think, and they need to be meeting their own needs first. But in the alternative program, because remember now that the child has had to adjust to making sure that the caregiver's okay, that program is, the blueprint for that program is telling the brain to put others first. And once others' needs are met, either whatever's left can go to self, or those other people will reciprocate by giving back, which in most cases when you're dealing with a dysfunctional family, that never happens. So the individual ends up running on empty and causing all kinds of emotional problems. But they believe that they have to give selflessly. And then the other thing is that you need to, whatever your opinion is inside, I mean, you need to listen to other people and what they have to say, and then you've got to evaluate it in your own head against what you think is right for you. And then from that, whatever you have this feeling inside is right, that's what's right. Not in the alternative program, it goes more like ignore your own feelings, and what other people say is right weighs heavier than what your opinion is inside, and that's correct, and you need to take that on. So now can you see that's wrong? Because nobody knows better than you do as to what is good for you. Another thing that is that in the normal program, the brain is saying, my brain is as good as other people's brains. I can work things out as well as they can. I'm as good at making decisions as they are. But in the alternative program, the brain is saying other people's brains are cleverer and know more of what's going on than my brain. So therefore, when they give their opinions, I must take their opinion over mine. And then another one is in the normal brain blueprint program, the default program, it's saying I create boundaries when people hurt me, because I am entitled to live a happy life, and I'm entitled to protect myself. Now the alternative program, which has been kicked into action for survival of the infant, is saying that when other people hurt me, I reach out even more and try to show them that they're hurting me, and in that way they will realize that they are hurting me and start to be nice to me, which does not happen. That's just totally faulty. In the majority of the cases, that's not the case. You need to set boundaries, and you've got to, even if you step on people's toes, you've got to say, hey, you know what? So far and no further. I don't feel comfortable with whatever is being done. And in fact, that's when people start treating you better, because they have respect for you. When you just open up, they hurt you and you open up, they have no respect for you, and it almost causes them to become even more violent and vicious towards you. The other thing is, in a healthy default program, it's I meet my needs first, and I can meet my own needs. I can sufficiently meet my own needs, and what I get from other people is a bonus. In the alternative program that's being kicked into action for survival as an infant, it is saying that I meet other people's needs, first of all, and then they reciprocate and meet my needs. And if they don't do that, that's wrong. But that's where the problem comes in, because when they don't do it, and that's often the case, then that person is stuck because they haven't met their own needs. And another one is, once I have met my needs, and my needs have been completed, and I am okay within self, if I want to help others then, and I feel good about helping others then, I can then help others. And I do not expect reciprocation. If I get reciprocation of the help, that's a bonus. But if I don't, I'm still okay, I'm still happy, my needs have been met, and I'm happy to give what I have left over to others, because it's not important to me to have that reciprocation. So it stops that emotional, that hurt, that when you've given so much and you get nothing back, because that's a wrong program. You should be meeting your own needs first, and then what's left over you give to others. And then the another one that is important is that in the healthy default program, the brain says that I understand that I cannot make everybody happy, and that's okay. I'm still happy. I do my best, but I know for a fact that I will not make everybody happy, because that is a fact. But in the alternative program, it's that I am constantly trying to make other people happy without meeting my own needs, and I'm just draining myself more and more and more, and then I'm becoming distraught because they're not happy. Because that alternative program doesn't realize that you can't make everybody happy. It's still the little child that has to put in as much effort as they can for survival. But I think that this is very, very important to know about. Maybe some of you haven't been affected so much by narcissistic or emotional dysfunction in your childhood, and these things don't impact you. I mean, that's good and well, and I know that there are some people who don't like my videos they only like my videos when I talk about the nasty narcissists. But I believe that this is also very important, because this is about taking back our own power. And some of us might be okay, but other of us are really struggling, and these concepts are not being put forward to the public. Well, I know that I haven't come across anything like this, and nobody's put it together in a way that I could understand what was really going on. It's just like, you're freaking out, and often you'll go to the psychiatrist, and then they just want to give you medication instead of realizing what the actual problem is and understanding how to change it. Now, I'm not saying that medication isn't good. In some situations it is good, and there are some fantastic psychiatrists out there, and there's some brilliant therapists. But what I'm saying is that in my opinion, the general public, and I actually believe a lot of the therapists don't even understand, cannot put this stuff together. Well, in our little sort of triangle of problems, which I've spoken about before is also they know very little about narcissistic abuse, and it's not a blaming thing. I'm just stating what my experience has been, and I'm hoping by putting out what I've learned, that, and by getting back what other people think, and that, and all the other vloggers and people putting up videos and articles, that things are going to start improving. So anyway, if you like this video, please subscribe to me. It helps for more by doing that, and also by commenting and liking my videos. It means that my videos rank higher in YouTube, and therefore more people have the opportunity to see them, and maybe possibly be helped by some of this stuff. So anyway, and as always, I love your comments. Tell me what you think, and thanks for all the support, and goodbye. Put it into action can have significant beneficial effects on people that have dealt with these types of situations. And the thing is that it's not well known in society, and I think it's phenomenal. So anyway, let me start with this. So in the research I've done, because I could, that actually trips the circuit board, and it puts, like on your sprinkler system, you have like the default program that most people stick to, and then you have all these other programs. Some are so obscure that you just wonder how anyone could ever use them. But what actually happens, because of the survival mechanism in the baby, because it didn't work out why, there were a lot of other things in my life that just didn't seem to be working well. And through a lot of the reading and different subjects that are related to this subject and psychology, I've come to the realization that there is actually a control panel in the brain, and I'm going to give the analogy of, like, your sprinkler system has, if you have a sprinkler system in your yard, it has this control panel, or circuit board, whatever you would like to call it. Well, I believe that the brain has a similar control panel, and what actually happens is, when the child's needs are not met in early childhood to a certain degree, the ultimate secret you need to know, healing from a lifetime of emotional or narcissistic abuse. I think this is an incredibly important video, well, in my opinion. This is what I've come across, and I believe that understanding of this and the willpower to